My name is Ella, and I am 28 years old, and I currently live in the beautiful, but sometimes very superficial city of Los Angeles, California. Living here can be a dream because of the constant sunshine and the palm trees and the feeling that anything is possible, but it can also be a nightmare if you find yourself surrounded by the wrong people. I work in a creative field, and in this city your social circle is everything, which is probably why I stayed friends with a girl named Indy for way longer than I ever should have. Looking back now, I can see that I ignored so many red flags because I genuinely cared about her, and I wanted to be a good friend. But Indy was the kind of person who treated friendship like a game of chess, where she was always 10 moves ahead of everyone else. She was incredibly magnetic and could light up a room when she wanted to, but she was also extremely manipulative with me and everyone else in her life. She had this way of getting upset over the smallest things imaginable, and she would make me feel like I had done something absolutely terrible, even when I had done nothing at all. One of her favorite tactics was using money as leverage over me. If we went out and she paid for a meal, or if she helped me out with a small financial issue, when I was between jobs, she would never let me forget it. She would bring it up during arguments months later, or make me feel like I owed her my total loyalty because she had been so generous. It was exhausting because I never knew what tiny thing would suddenly make her angry, and I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells around her just to keep the peace. At the same time, Indy was dating a guy named Jet, who was one of the most soft-spoken and kind people I had ever met, but according to Indy, he was the worst boyfriend in the history of the world. While they were dating, she would call me constantly to complain about him for hours on end. She called him clingy and emotionally immature, and she had so many negative things to say about his appearance and his hygiene and his finances. She would tell me that his teeth were yellow, or that he did not shower enough, or that he was poor because he was struggling to find a steady job in a competitive market. It was painful to listen to because whenever I saw them together, Jet seemed to be trying so hard to make her happy. She also told me multiple times that she was thinking about breaking up with him or that she was talking to other people behind his back. She would tell me that she was interested in someone else, and when I asked who it was, she would get very mysterious and tell me to keep it anonymous. It felt like she was living a double life, where she was a devoted girlfriend to his face, but a total predator behind his back. There were times when we would all hang out together, and if I even had a basic conversation with Jet about something we both liked, such as a movie or a specific type of music, Indy would lose her mind. She would get upset and start an hour-long argument with both of us right there in the middle of a restaurant or a park, accusing us of trying to have an affair. It was so embarrassing and completely baseless because I had zero interest in Jet other than being his friend, and he was clearly head over heels for her. Eventually, the tension got to be too much and Indy finally broke up with Jet, and that is when the real lies started. After the breakup, she started telling everyone in our social circle her version of the relationship, which was designed to make her look like a saint and him look like a monster. One of the biggest things she told me was that Jet had cheated on her. She even showed me some edited messages between them and used those conversations as evidence that he had supposedly been the problem the entire time. The problem was that I knew too much. I knew that she was the one looking for other guys while they were together, and I knew that her stories did not line up with the reality I had seen with my own two eyes. I started feeling a lot of guilt for staying silent while she dragged this man's name through the dirt. I realized that Jet deserved to know the truth, especially since he was being blamed for things he did not do. I decided that I could no longer be a bystander in her path of destruction. I searched for his contact information and finally sent him a message asking if he was the Jet I knew from the relationship with Indy. When he confirmed it was him, I told him that I needed to talk to him because Indy had been going around talking about their breakup, and I wanted him to know exactly what she was saying. I explained to him that she was telling everyone he was clingy and emotionally immature, and that she had shown me messages to prove he was a bad partner. I also told him the truth about how she had been talking about breaking up with him for months, and how she was interested in other people while they were still together. Jet was quiet for a moment, and then he responded with a lot of honesty. He admitted that he had been clingy at times because he was always worried about losing her, and he struggled to communicate his emotions because she was so critical of everything he said. However, he strongly denied ever cheating on her. He said he had genuinely loved her and had tried everything in his power to make the relationship work. He told me that she had tried to break up with him more than once, but he had always begged her to stay and tried to fix things, which made me feel even worse for him. Then he asked me the question I knew was coming. He asked who she had cheated with and when it happened. I had to be honest and tell him that I did not have a specific name or a date because Indy was always very secretive about the details, but she had definitely talked about being with another guy. He then asked me about some of the personal things she had said about him. I felt terrible doing it, but I told him that she had called him poor and had made very mean comments about his hygiene and his teeth and his lack of a job. Jet told me that while he was struggling financially, he had actually spent a significant amount of money on her during their relationship, often putting her needs above his own. He also told me things about her behavior that I had never known, like how she would threaten to leave him if he did not do exactly what she wanted. I realized then that Indy had portrayed herself as a victim of a bad boyfriend, while Jet was describing a relationship where he was manipulated and criticized and bullied. It was a classic case of projection where she was doing all the bad things and blaming him for them. There was another part of the story that really bothered me, which was that Indy had talked to me about wanting to take their relationship further physically, but then she would change her mind and blame him for the lack of intimacy. She had even asked me for help getting birth control because she said she was ready, and then she told Jet she was not ready at all. When I told Jet this, he was genuinely confused because she had told him a completely different story. Eventually, Jet asked me if the other guy she had mentioned was a guy named Oscar. I told him that there was actually a different guy she had mentioned, but she never gave me a name. That was the moment I realized just how much information I had been carrying and how heavy it felt. I felt guilty for not saying something sooner, but I had been scared of Indy. I knew how she treated people who crossed her, and I was afraid she would turn on me and use the money she spent on me as a weapon. But I realized that keeping quiet was just as bad as lying. I told Jet everything, and he told me that 2 other mutual friends had also contacted him to tell him that they did not believe Indy's stories either. It turned out that her web of lies was starting to unravel because she could not keep her stories straight with different people. The final straw came when Indy found out that I had been talking to Jet. She called me screaming and accusing me of betraying her and trying to steal her ex-boyfriend. She used every manipulative trick in the book, including bringing up the times she had helped me financially years ago. But this time, I did not back down. I told her that I was tired of the lies and the manipulation and that I was done being her pawn. I told her that everyone was starting to see who she really was and that she could no longer control the narrative. The fallout was massive. Most of our friend group realized that she had been lying about Jet, and they started to distance themselves from her. Jet finally had the closure he needed to move on and stop blaming himself for the failure of the relationship. As for me, I lost a friend, but I gained my self-respect back. I learned that in a city like Los Angeles, where everyone is trying to be someone, they are not the most important thing you can be is honest. I now make sure to surround myself with people who do not use money or guilt as a way to control me. The resolution was peaceful for Jet and me, but for Indy it was a hard lesson that the truth always comes out in the end. Looking back, I realized that her accusation of me having an affair with Jet was just her way of trying to isolate him and me, so we would never talk and find out the truth. It was a clever plan, but it eventually failed because people can only handle so much drama before they start looking for the exit. Now when I walk down the streets of Los Angeles, I feel lighter because I am no longer carrying her secrets, and I am no longer walking on eggshells. I am 28 years old, and I finally learned that a real friend does not keep a scorecard of what they owe you, and they certainly do not ask you to help them destroy someone else's life. The twist at the end of it all was that Jet ended up getting a really great job and is doing much better now, while Indy is still trying to find someone new to manipulate, but everyone in our circle is now warned. It is funny how things work out when you finally decide to speak up and do the right thing even when it is scary. I hope that by sharing this story, other people will realize that they do not have to stay in toxic friendships and that the truth is the most powerful tool you have against a manipulator. It took me a long time to find my voice, but now that I have it, I am never going to let anyone take it away from me again. The experience changed me, and made me a stronger person who is much more careful about who I let into my inner circle. Los Angeles is a big city, but it is also a small town when it comes to reputations, and Indy's reputation is now exactly what she earned through her own actions. I am happy to be moving forward with my life, and I am glad that Jet is finally free from her influence as well. It was a long journey and a lot of words were spoken, but in the end the truth was the only thing that mattered. I think about all the times she made me feel small, and I realize now that she was only able to do that because I let her. I will never let anyone make me feel that way again. I am confident, and I am honest, and I am free from the drama that used to define my life. That is the best revenge I could ever ask for. To live a good life without the shadow of a toxic person hanging over me is the ultimate victory. I hope Jet finds someone who truly appreciates him for who he is because he is a good man who deserved better than what Indy gave him. And I hope Indy someday realizes that you cannot build a life on lies and expect it to stand for very long. But whether she realizes it or not is no longer my concern. I have closed that chapter of my life, and I am looking forward to the future with a clear conscience and a happy heart. The sun is shining today in California, and for the first time in a long time, it feels like it is shining for me. I am proud of myself for standing up for what is right and for helping someone who was being treated unfairly. It was a long road to get here, but I would not change a thing because it taught me everything I need to know about loyalty and integrity and the true meaning of friendship. I have grown so much in the last few months, and I feel like a completely different person than the girl who was scared of her friend's temper. I am Ella, and I am 28 years old, and I am finally living my life on my own terms without any lies or manipulation to hold me back. This story is a reminder that even in a place as crazy as Los Angeles, you can still find the truth if you are willing to look for it and speak it out loud. It was a hard lesson to learn, but it was worth every single moment of discomfort because now I am free. I wish everyone could experience the feeling of finally standing up to a bully and coming out on top. It is the most empowering feeling in the world, and it has given me a new perspective on everything. I am ready for whatever comes next, and I know that I can handle it because I have already survived the worst of what a toxic friendship can offer. The end of this story is really just the beginning of a much better one for me, and I could not be happier about that. Every time I see a palm tree or feel the ocean breeze, I am reminded that life is too short to spend it dealing with people who do not have your best interests at heart. I am moving on, and I am never looking back. The truth has set me free, and it has given Jet his life back too. That is more than enough for me. I will keep living my life with honesty and kindness, and I will always speak up for those who are being silenced by the lies of others. That is the promise I made to myself, and I intend to keep it for the rest of my life. The story of Indy and Jet is over, but my story is just getting started, and it is going to be a great one because it is built on a foundation of truth and respect. I have learned that the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself, and I finally like the person I see in the mirror every morning. No more eggshells and no more guilt and no more lies. Just me and the bright future ahead of me in this beautiful city I call home. I hope Jet feels the same way, and I hope he is finding his own path to happiness far away from the shadows of the past. We both survived, and we both learned, and now we can both move forward into the light. It was a long and difficult road, but we made it to the other side, and that is all that matters in the end. The revenge was not about hurting Indy, but about restoring the truth, and that is exactly what happened. It was poetic justice at its finest, and I am glad I played a part in it. Now I can finally rest easy knowing that I did the right thing. The world is a better place when the truth is told, and I am proud to be someone who tells it. No matter how long it takes or how many words it requires, the truth will always find a way to be heard. And that is the end of my story. I am sitting here in my apartment looking out at the city lights, and I feel a sense of peace that I have not felt in years. I am grateful for the experience even though it was hard because it made me who I am today. I am strong, and I am resilient, and I am honest. And that is more than enough. I hope anyone listening to this takes it to heart and finds the courage to speak their own truth because you never know who you might be helping when you do. Life is a journey, and sometimes you have to face the darkness to find the light, but it is always worth it in the end. Goodbye to the drama and the lies, and hello to a life of honesty and freedom. I am ready for the next chapter, and I know it is going to be amazing. The city of Los Angeles is full of stories, and I am glad that mine is finally one of truth and redemption. It took 28 years to get here, but I am exactly where I am supposed to be. I am Ella, and I am free. I am going to enjoy every moment of this new life, and I am never going to let anyone pull me back into the darkness. The end of the road is just the beginning of a new one, and I am excited to see where it leads. I have my self-respect and my integrity, and that is all I need to be happy. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it inspires you to always do the right thing even when it is the hardest thing to do. The truth is always worth it. Always. I remember the very first time I met Indy at a networking event downtown, and she was wearing this bright red dress that made her look like she owned the entire room. She walked up to me with a smile that felt like sunshine, and I was instantly hooked by her energy, but looking back, that red dress was a warning sign I should have seen coming from a mile away. She talked about her dreams and her goals, and she made me feel like I was the most important person in the world, and for a while I really believed she was my best friend. We would go to brunch and talk for hours, and she would give me advice on everything from my career to my clothes, but slowly, that advice started to feel more like commands. If I did not do what she suggested, she would get this cold look in her eyes and give me the silent treatment for days until I apologized for something I did not even do. Then came the money, and it started small with her picking up the tab for a few drinks, but then it turned into her paying for my flight to a wedding because I was short on cash, and she never let me forget it. Every time we had a disagreement, she would bring up that flight and say that I was ungrateful and that she had done so much for me while I did nothing for her. It made me feel like I was her property instead of her friend. When she started dating Jet, I thought she would finally be happy and stop focusing so much on controlling me, but it only got worse. She treated Jet like he was a project she was working on rather than a human being she loved. She would complain about his clothes and tell him he needed to change his style to match hers, and she would get angry if he spent any money on himself instead of on her. I saw him give her his last $20 more than once just so she could buy a designer candle she didn't even need. And the way she talked about his hygiene was just cruel because Jet was a clean guy, but she would tell everyone he smelled bad just to make herself look like a martyr for staying with him. I remember one specific night, we were all at a birthday party and Jet and I were talking about a book we both liked, and Indy came over and literally threw her drink on the floor just to get our attention, and then spent the next 2 hours screaming that we were flirting right in front of her face. It was so insane that people actually stopped talking and just stared at us, and I felt so small and humiliated that I just wanted to disappear into the floorboards. After they broke up and she started telling everyone that Jet had cheated, I felt like I was losing my mind because I knew Jet would never do that, and I knew that Indy was the one who had been looking for a way out for months. When I finally reached out to Jet, and we had that long conversation, it felt like a weight was lifting off my chest, because I realized I was not the crazy one. He told me how she would tell him that I was talking behind his back, and that I was the one who was jealous of their relationship, which was just another one of her lies to keep us from ever talking to each other. We compared so many stories, and every single one of them showed that Indy was manipulating both of us to keep us under her thumb. The day I finally blocked her on everything was the best day of my life, because I realized that her power over me was only as strong as I allowed it to be. She tried to send mutual friends to talk to me and tell me that I was being a bad friend, but I told them the truth, and most of them understood why I had to walk away. Some of them even had their own stories about how Indy had treated them, and they were glad someone finally had the courage to stand up to her. Jet and I are still friends, and we still check in on each other once in a while, just to make sure we are both doing okay, and it is nice to have a friendship that is based on honesty instead of manipulation and guilt. I have a new group of friends now, and they are the kind of people who celebrate my successes instead of trying to bring me down, and it is a wonderful feeling to be surrounded by positivity. I still see Indy's name pop up once in a while in social media, posts from people we used to know, but I just keep scrolling because she no longer has any space in my heart or my mind. I have learned that you cannot change a person like Indy, and the only thing you can do is change how you respond to them. I chose to respond with the truth, and that was the best decision I ever made. I am 28 years old, and I am living my best life in Los Angeles, and I am doing it on my own terms. My career is going great, and I have a partner who actually respects me and treats me like an equal, and I never would have found this happiness if I had stayed in that toxic friendship. So if you are listening to this, and you have a friend who makes you feel like you are walking on eggshells, please listen to your gut and get away as fast as you can. You deserve better than to be someone's pawn in their game of manipulation. The truth will always be your best friend, and it will always lead you to where you are supposed to be. I am Ella, and I am finally happy, and I am finally free from the lies. The sun is setting over the Pacific Ocean as I write this, and the sky is filled with colors of pink and orange and purple, and it feels like a sign that everything is going to be okay. I am looking forward to tomorrow and all the days after that because I know that I am living an authentic life, and that is the greatest gift of all. Jet is doing well too, and he actually just started a new job that he loves, and I am so happy for him because he deserves all the success in the world. We both survived the storm, and we are both stronger because of it. And as for Indy, I hope she finds what she is looking for, but I hope she finds it without hurting anyone else along the way. But either way, I am done, and I am moving forward into the bright and beautiful future that awaits me. It has been a long journey, but I am finally home within myself, and that is all that matters. Thank you for letting me share my story, and I hope it brings some hope to anyone who might be going through something similar. You are not alone, and you are not crazy, and the truth will always come out. Just keep going and never give up on yourself, because you are worth so much more than anyone's lies. The city of Los Angeles is big, but your light is bigger, and you can shine as bright as you want to. Just be yourself and be honest, and the rest will fall into place. That is what I learned, and that is what I want to share with the world. I am Ella, and this is my story of revenge through truth, and I would not change a single thing about it. It made me who I am, and I love the person I have become. I am strong, and I am free, and I am happy. And that is the ultimate victory. I hope you find yours too. The end of this chapter is the beginning of the best years of my life, and I am so ready to live them to the fullest. Goodbye to the past, and hello to the beautiful now. I am sitting here in my living room, and I can hear the sounds of the city outside, and for the first time it sounds like music instead of noise. I am at peace, and I am grateful for everything I have, and for the strength I found to do what was right. It was a long road, and it took a lot of courage, but I made it, and I am so proud of myself. I am Ella, and I am 28, and I am living my truth, and it feels amazing. The world is full of possibilities, and I am going to explore every single one of them with a smile on my face and a clear heart. Life is good, and I am going to make the most of every single second. Thank you for listening, and remember to always stay true to yourself, no matter what. The truth is the only thing that lasts, and it is the only thing that can truly set you free. I know that now more than ever, and I am never going to forget it. I am moving forward, and I am never looking back, and I am so excited for everything that is coming my way. I am Ella, and I am free, and I am happy, and that is the best story of all. I hope Jet feels the same, and I hope everyone who hears this finds their own path to freedom and truth. It is worth it, I promise. Just keep going and never let anyone tell you who you are or what you are worth. You are amazing, and you deserve the world. And that is the honest truth. The end of my story is just the beginning of yours if you choose to speak up and be free. So go out there and live your truth and see how much better life can be. I am Ella, and I am signing off with a happy heart and a bright future. Goodbye for now, and stay strong and stay honest, and always remember that you are the author of your own story. Make it a good one filled with truth and love and happiness, because you deserve nothing less. I am finally living mine, and it is more beautiful than I ever imagined. The end.